Do you ever just wonder why time somehow flies or slow down? Why waiting in the transit in the city feels faster than it should be? Or why taking a quick walk through the woods feels like time stretches? When the pandemic struck, people felt time warping, distorting. During that period, people collectively lost their sense of time. Some felt days were longer, some shorter. Time distortion, a phenomenon of losing track of time, occurred to our society. An all too well indicator of time distortion on a large scale is the phrase, "What day is it today?" For this project, time distortion can be broken down into three parts: the visual perception concept, Barker's place behavior theory, and scalar expectance theory. The visual perception concept in relation to time perception is defined as humans relying mostly on visual cues to tell time. These cues are colors, lights, locations and views, and lastly textures. Barker's place behavior theory states that humans, to find comfort, meet their current needs and sense of place, reconcile with their spatial situations in a short amount of time. The scalar expectancy theory deals with the processing of the stimuli. This theory assumes that humans take cues from stimuli to create their approximation of time elapsed. The visual perception concept plays a huge role for this project. It has elements that can be found and can be manipulated in architecture to induce time distortion. From these elements, an initial survey was conducted for this project. The initial survey is set on a virtual space where cues like colors, lights, locations, views, and textures can be easily manipulated to inspect and establish bias regarding the perception of time of the respondents. A base model to test different combinations of these elements was created with an area of 6 square meters and 10% opening on one side. A total of 320 scenes were created and tested using augmented reality and virtual reality tests. From the initial survey results, the visual element hierarchy diagram for time perception was created. According to the results, the human perception of time prioritizes colors as main cue that helps people evaluate time elapsed. This is followed by locations and views, brightness and types of lights, and lastly, textures. The next step is the validation of the data from the bias survey using virtual reality and augmented reality. The previous respondents from the bias survey were made to choose which simulated scenes affected their perception of time, whether it hastened or slowed their perceived time elapsed spent in a virtual space. The respondents were also asked to estimate the duration of time they think they've spent evaluating every scene. They were given at least 30 seconds to evaluate each scene, but this information was left out to make sure that the respondents will give their accurate answer, even if it was subjective. The data from the results suggested that respondents collectively overestimate their time spent inside fast time distorting scenes. Inversely, respondents collectively underestimated their time spent in slow time distorting scenes. The validation results are then visualized as flowcharts to help choose what appropriate architectural visual elements can be used to design fast or slow time distorting spaces. So how can we relate and use these concepts and study of time distortion to architecture and design? The results for both fast and slow time distorting elements can be applied in designing optimized interior spaces. Although the project heavily and mostly used interiors, the study can be expanded into exterior spaces and account more variety of visual elements that can affect human perception of time. This project is proposed in the light of exploring how the built environment influences the perception of time of its users, in hopes of revolutionizing a new interpretive design methodology and architectural visual systems that uses human time perception across various building typologies, where it could be applied and optimized spaces. Time is precious. Let us use this element to better improve our quality of life, so we can spend every moment to the fullest. I am Lionel Lee, a graduate of De La Salle College of St. Benilde, and this is my project entitled Spacetime, an exploration of the relationship of human time perception and the built environment.